It's time to get your quick fix with a remix. I'm Remixus, and I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Gamers, I am very eager to highlight a new game in early development that I just learned about, and it's been a while since I've been this excited for a project. Nexus-drop is an upcoming game still in very early alpha, and is the spiritual successor to Firefall. For fans of Firefall, the mechanics seem to all be here, at least implemented very early into the build. And for people who don't know what Firefall is, a quick explanation is that it was a third-person MMO shooter which focused on PvE. The game felt very similar to Destiny, but focused more on crafting and upgrades to give you a more personalized way to fight. Its theme also reminded me of Destiny, while the characters were somewhere between Overwatch, Team Fortress, and Borderlands, kind of cartoony, janky, and sometimes have a black outline. Firefall also used a persistent world where players would reclaim parts of the map from the storm, but the enemy would take over territory if outposts and bases were left unattended. For a recent example, you can think of something close to Helldivers, where the various enemies can take over planets and sectors. Firefall's imperfections, coupled with a solid gameplay and progression loop, gave Firefall its charm and turned it into a wish its loyal fans nearly 10 years later still cling for. There have been multiple attempts to re-envision Firefall, but to date we have had varying levels of success and no solid game releases. Enter Nexus-drop. A couple disclaimers. First, this game is still very much an alpha build, and seemingly only made by one dev who goes by Catsist, or Nexus Dev. I'm not entirely sure. This game doesn't have a public build, so I can't verify what is or is not currently in the demo build, or what will make it to release or future updates. Second, if I get anything wrong, I'm doing what I can based on the footage we have been given, but I will correct the record in a future video, so I'll do my best to not speculate. And finally, I want to dedicate this video to covering only Nexus-drop. Those following me know I've made videos in the past about another project, but I don't want to address that here. Alright, so for anyone who has not played Firefall or seen Nexus-drop, let's talk about the gameplay loop and features. The basic loop is to call down a mining tool, defend it and yourself, and collect the resources. You can take those resources to craft upgrades for your gear, rinse, and repeat. You can have your miner pack up early, but you won't get as big of a payoff. However, if you leave your miner out too long, it might get destroyed. The game will have classes and various frames within the classes you will have to level up. Each class and frame will allow you to equip certain abilities and weapons. A little more on this later, but resource collection will come in various forms to include mining, quests, and game events. This will allow you to collect items in more than one way, which will add variety to the game loop. This game will also somewhat mimic an MMO by having a sort of microserver, where you only have around 50 people in a session, but you'll be able to jump to other sessions if space is unavailable. The creator uses GTA 5 Online as a reference, but I have to admit I haven't played 5. Shocker, I know, but I'm envisioning something similar to Black Desert Online where you had servers and channels. The world right now in Unreal 5 is an 8x8 kilometer map, but the plan is to turn biomes into their own zone, which will have pseudo-loading screens. The idea is once you go from one zone to the next, you'll have a seamless transition which makes a loading screen appear non-existent. Elite Dangerous did an amazing job of this by making the loading screen start when you engage the warp drive to a different solar system. Leveling up your gear would mean access to tougher enemies or zones, which will provide better resources and continue the game loop. As far as your character, you'll be able to choose some basic classes and specialize within the class. For most shooters, you have 4 or more basic roles of heavy, medic, engineer, and recon. However, your frames within the class will allow you to specialize the type of role you want to fill. So you might be a cold medic behind the front lines, keeping everyone alive, or a hot medic where you're gunning and healing yourself. You might be an engineer who resupplies and repairs, or you might be an engineer who brings a bunch of sentries and a shield to the fight. A heavy could bring a rocket launcher for vehicles and beefy boys, or a chain gun to mow down the horde. These are all examples, and our dev isn't quite sure if each class, suit, weapon, and ability will have to be leveled, but these are decisions for a later date. Now, ideas are one thing, but what's actually in the game? Impressively, a lot. There's still an exhaustive list of what needs to be brought in, but here are some of the things I've observed. The basic gameplay loop seems to be built. You can scan for resources, call down the miner, defend it and yourself from hostiles, extract the miner to claim your materials, and use those materials at the workbench to craft weapons and abilities. Other features which you can find are gliding, various weapons including melee, resupply pads, multiple enemy types, basic UI, destructible objects, transportation waypoints, usable vehicles, basic multiplayer, 4 different biomes, several abilities and gadgets, usable HUD, and based on this last clip, controller support. There have even been a few things added which I wouldn't have expected at this stage, like basic cosmetics through helmet and gear color options. He has managed to add a few Easter eggs throughout the map and taken great attention to detail with this weapons crate, aircraft reload systems, and a working multifunction display inside the cockpit. Alright Nexus-drop, I want to tell you in public you are doing an amazing job. You've been wowing me since I first saw the clip from another video. Your modeling work is outstanding for how fast you can work in a short amount of time, and the objects look very well crafted even when you say they're very low detail. I love your intro logo for the game, especially with how it coincides with what your Discord says about you not being able to spell. It's a simple yet nice touch to the animation. You really seem to be creating a proper version of Firefall while trying to be extra careful that you don't violate any potential copyright issues. I love the sounds you chose for various objects like weapons. They're not the highest quality, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're royalty free so you don't have to spend money, but you chose the sounds which help capture the essence of the old game. For anyone wondering why I don't have sound from the game, it's because I don't have access to the build, and all his videos have music I'm not sure I can use. However, the choice of music for his videos have done a great job to help get me hyped up. He seems to be pretty open about what he's working on, and where he wants to take the project. I'd love to keep going on and on about the positives, but I'll save some for the next updates or when I can test for myself. While I've been praising the current progress, I also feel I have to bring up one issue: the jank. Some of the animations aren't smooth and some look uncanny. The animation for the player while carrying the Gatling cannon has too stiff of a back, kind of like Bionicle with how rigid it feels. But I expect this from an alpha build, so no harm yet. I have a couple ideas that I would like to pitch you in this video. When you start crafting your world, it would be nice if we had reasons to come back to starting locations. Most players remember Copacabana fondly, as well as the surrounding beach area. It would be nice to have reasons to come back, possibly because we can only get some materials in certain zones and not in others. But one zone wouldn't necessarily have every resource you need. Playing with this idea, you could even make it so enemies scale to the players, so that higher level players can still play with lower levels in any zone. This idea might be difficult to implement, but Elder Scrolls Online already has the tech. Black Desert Online also does this by making certain bosses spawn in early level locations. You can collect resources all over the map, and they have brought a new system where you can enter an alternate dimension to fight low level characters again, but this time they're massively buffed to endgame content. Finally, when you get to the point of buffs and nerfs, learn from Helldivers. Buffing weapons tends to make more weapons viable and eliminate much of the meta you see happen in so many games. People tend to move to the best builds because as less options become viable, the only option left is the one that works for everyone, thus forming a meta. I also wanted to highlight a couple hurdles you may run into which are outside of the normal development process. The name Nexus-drop is pretty sweet. However, several properties have used Nexus, and you might find tough competition in the algorithms. To list a few, you have Gamers Nexus, Nexus Mods, Nexus Gaming, and a couple games called Nexus. There's also an online retail website called Nexus-drop-store.com. And I would hate for you to have to change your name, but you also might be forced to. Also, some people have voiced their concerns about copyright infringement to Firefall, but after comparing side-by-side images of how each system works, I think there's enough argument that your game is not the same, even if it has a lot of the same mechanics. The same argument can be said about Destiny, and yet they're very clearly different games. And now to bring this back to the viewers. With this game not being close to release, don't expect the game to be ready very soon, but we might see some sort of gameplay demo in the upcoming weeks. In an old post, he said that we might see a closed beta build sometime this year, but I don't want to get your hopes up. That being said, development of Nexus-drop started in March 2023, and a lot has been built in the past almost 2 years. The dedication bleeds through, and I have a feeling that people who are looking to scratch the Firefall itch will be pleasantly surprised when they find this game. He spends all of his time on work, family, and this game, and development isn't cheap. He wants this game to be free to play and supported by cosmetics, but if you believe in what he's doing, consider dropping a few coins at his Ko-fi link. There is so much more to see, so feel free to check out his Discord linked in the description of the video. This discussion is around 11 minutes at this point, and after downloading every video I could, there's over 90 minutes of footage documenting progress and over 150 images. I hope to continue to follow the creation of this game, so if you like what I'm doing, give me some interaction in the comment section. Try to keep it civil and pertain strictly to this project, as I'm not trying to bash any other projects who are trying to achieve similar goals. And finally, I look forward to seeing you all in the future. Keep it real and keep it on remix.